Coach Krzyzewski picked him to play on the World University team.
I coached high school basketball against Mitch I was a first-year coach when Mitch was a senior in high school, and I never would have envisioned him being an NBA All-Star MVP.
He was just another guy in Florida. He wasn't a big-name recruit. He wasn't an all-state guy.
I think Mitch caught people by surprise with how athletic he was, with how strong he was, with how good a player he was. But it didn't really take long for people to say, this is a special player.
When he arrived, the headliner of the team was Norris Coleman, the Sarge, nicknamed by the student body. So Norris was kind of the guy that I think people thought would be the leader of the team, and Mitch, because he was a junior college transfer, only had 2 years. In his first year, Norris Coleman was on that team. And so it was also the first year of Lon Kruger, so he's trying to blend all these personalities together.
Mitch was just became the consummate all-around player. Very tough body, score in the paint, score from three-point range, rebound the basketball, but again, just competed like crazy. Kind of a bull type mentality that just got the job done.
Mitch just turned out to be another Oscar Robertson because he was able to penetrate and then back away from the defense and shoot the one-hand jump shot, and he was just tenacious with that.
We go through the first year, and he has a really good junior year. And we get the NCAA tournament, and he scores 35 against Georgia and helps us win that game. And I still think there was part of him that, I'm a good player, but I don't think he ever really thought of himself as an elite player. And then Coach Krzyzewski picked him to play on the World University team. And he went down there, and he would call Coach Kruger every once in a while. Coach Krzyzewski would, and say, whether it was in the trials or whatever, and saying, no, your guy is really good. And then he'd say, when it was all said and done, he goes, he's the best we had here. He's special. And he came back with a little different swagger. He had seen the guys that were, I think at one time, they were his peers, but I think people had put above him, and he realized that he was every bit as good.
He just loved to play. That was the thing. That was, I think, what made that group pretty special. We had a bunch of guys that just loved to play. And we played every night, in the summers for hours. And you couldn't get Mitch out of there. You couldn't get his roommate Charles Bledsoe out of there. Will Scott loved to play. Heated games, intense games, guys that got along. But Mitch was, from the second he got on campus, was the leader, the rock of the team. Not necessarily the vocal leader, but he was a guy that we knew. He was the man. There was no question about it.
The one game that told me he could play on the next level was when K-State played over at KU in his senior year in 1988. It was a Saturday afternoon, and KU had a 55-game home court winning streak. And he had an unbelievable game, 35 points. And K-State knocked off Kansas.
Norman, I think we're down 10 with a minute 20 to go, and Mitch takes the team on his shoulders and wills us to a win at Norman. It's hard to come back from 10 down on the road in the last minute and a half.
One thing I remember about Mitch was I was done playing, and it's the first 2 or 3 weeks of school, and the guys are in conditioning and they're playing. And I go to the rec center one night. There in one of the far courts is Mitch, and he's over there shooting baskets all by himself. I've been shooting it bad. He goes, I got to work on my jumper, and that happened all the time with Mitch. Mitch deserves everything. It's the old cliche, good things happen to those who work hard. Mitch worked hard.
As good a player as he was, he's a better kid. He had such charisma. He always had a smile on his face. He loved playing. When he come to play, he loved it. And he'd work at it, and he was, like I said, so coachable. And his teammates had such respect for him because of all those things, because of the way he treated them, because of the way he loved the game, the way he worked at the game. I think it's hard to overestimate the impact he had at that point in time on K-State basketball.
He's been a great example of what K-State basketball should be all about. Guys that earn their stripes, guys that walk in and earn their way, and because of that work ethic, because of that determination, they go in and pursue a professional career and then excel, at that level. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, we're talking about one of the better players, not just at K-State, but in the NBA.